So the Satya-yuga golden age. Sat means truth, and this is the age of truthfulness. The Dharma focus during this age is on austerity, which is piety, reservation or preservation of one's pranic life force, instead of expending energy, preserving one's energy. There's complete harmony on earth. There's no war, famine, conflict, and no organized society. And so there's no labor, there's no need to cultivate food. It's a Garden of Eden-like condition. And this is because of the very etheric nature of the world. And the more etheric and the more one is in touch with the subtle energies of the world, the less one needs to have sustenance from more dense material objects such as food. So if you're taking in energy in subtle form, it's giving you sustenance itself, and it harks back to the idea of breatharians. And breatharians are people who don't eat food and they live today, and instead they meditate and take energy from the sun. They're taking energy from the earth to give them daily sustenance. And although these people are very skinny and weak because they don't eat any food, they have an internal spiritual strength. So what I'm suggesting is that during the Satya-yuga, it was likely that people didn't need to cultivate food because they already had enough energy just from the earth conditions themselves. So Garden of Eden, it's complete abundance because there's no taking from the earth. Everyone is preserving what they have. There's no competition for resources. And so humans are also much larger in stature, so 15 to 25 feet tall, and possibly even taller. And they live for several thousands of years in these paradise-type conditions. And so people are, in general, in touch with the subtlest levels of reality, and they enjoy the peace and harmony that goes along with this general earthly environment. Humans are telepathic, so thought intentions, what you are putting into your mind, will manifest immediately, and therefore nothing can be hidden. And there's no separation between cause and effect. They're tied in the same. So what one thinks becomes real. And so in order to incarnate as a human in this time period, one has to have a very self-controlled mental state, because someone without self-control, they aren't going to be at harmony with this earthly condition. Their soul power, their condition, their spiritual condition is not going to mesh with this golden age. There needs to be a harmony between the external conditions and the internal conditions. And all humans are in a natural state of meditation. So the ability to perceive creation or God or all of the world is at its highest potential. It's at the highest level for people to be able to grow in their inner understanding that they are one part of all of creation, or one part of all that is. So all knowledge about this creation is obtainable through concentrating on the Om primordial vibration. And in the Bible it says, in the beginning was the Word. And this is the first sentence of the Bible. So in the beginning was a sound, it was a vibration, and that's what the Om vibration is. So by meditating upon this, today a person is able to grow spiritually by meditation upon the Om vibration. It's the same today as it was in the Golden Age. Back then, the connection to that primordial vibration is more direct and closer. And by meditating upon it, all knowledge can be obtained quickly and directly. And so the focus of the beings that are living in this time is getting closer and closer to the source of all that is, and merging oneself back into that source so as to not have to reincarnate again. And I love these paintings by Tuco Amalfi, a Brazilian painter, and they show this solitary but majestic and beautiful look into the earth realm, and seeing that if you wanted to imagine a temple there, you could. And it's a solitary, playful growth in consciousness that in the material creation, you can have anything. But internally growing is the most satisfying pursuit during this time period. There's no need to be sustained through effort. The environment is conducive to harmonious inner spiritual growth. And again, more of these paintings showing the limitlessness of one's potential in a solitary growth, in a solitary fashion. There's no society as we would understand it, because there's no need for society. And so as you could think, these are people that are at advanced spiritual consciousness that don't need to have physical material interactions. They are incarnating in order to live in a time period that's conducive to greater spiritual growth. And as you can see, more of these photos, the eternity of being, is a beautiful painting and exemplifying this blissful state of being. And so gradually the golden age trend goes downward into the descending cycle and into the Treta-yuga eventually. So as we are transitioning and getting closer to Treta-yuga, the purest souls are merging back into the source before Treta begins, before the new energetic environment comes upon. And so gradually, as people looked further into the material creation, because their internal focus is lessening and they're gradually going more outward according to the descending cycle, the idea of more and less arises. So there's more trees over there, there's more people over here. There was complete abundance, now less and more abundance. This concept is being introduced into the material realm. So this leads to competition for resources, and groups begin to organize into localized societies in order to live better in harmony than if you were to live alone. So gradually societies were built up. And one suggestion is that there have been many cultures that have been lost over the periods, over the long-term course of history. And one of these is called Kumari Kandam, sometimes called Lemuria. And the idea is that there was a continent where the Indian Ocean is today. And there are many corresponding archaeological and ecological proofs that can show that the Madagascar, southern India, and Western Australia have similar flora and fauna and similar conditions that point to the possibility that there was a landmass that was connecting these. And in southern India, divers and archaeologists are finding old temples and artifacts that have been submerged in the ocean. So there used to be above water, at least in that southern part of India. But the tradition says that there used to be a culture here, there used to be civilization here that is now underneath the ocean. I'm suggesting that it's possible that these continents were homes of these first societies, these idyllic, these paradisical societies that lived in harmony with nature, that at the descending of the golden age, when people started to organize, they were organizing into these locations. And here are some of the artifacts. You see the sundial on the right that were found in the southern Indian Ocean, sculptures. And so there's direct evidence that there used to be at least some kind of culture that existed there. And there's also the idea of the continent of Mu. Again, it's related to Lemuria. Which one is Lemuria? This idea is that there was a continent in the Pacific Ocean because of the ecological connections to the archipelagos in southern Asia, as well as to the western coast of South America, as well as with Hawaii. This book on the right here, The Lost Civilization of Lemuria, it's a great book. I actually picked this book up. It was thrown into the street in New York when I was living at the time, and it was just lying on the sidewalk, and I looked at it like, wow, I was actually studying this topic at that time, and I found this tossed amongst a pile of rubbish, and I cleaned it off, and then I read it, and it's a great book about how the different etymologies of words connect these cultures from across that are separated by the Pacific Ocean, and different mythological tales pointing to that there used to be a culture here that was very paradise-like and very harmonious with nature. So it's possible that these were golden age civilizations that eventually disappeared, but using contextual evidence to point to there, we have archaeological evidence that there were these older cultures. They're no longer there, and the reputation of these cultures that they were beautiful, harmonious societies. Maybe these were golden age societies. And so to bring us back to where we are, if this is the top of the golden age, the top of the ability for consciousness to realize itself, gradually it goes down into the descending cycle. And I'm saying that when societies were created because of the gradual external focus of society, the golden age societies being created, happening in the golden age as they descend down. And so eventually the golden age comes to an end, and this would be the transition into the Satya-yuga, this transition period.